Fine. Okay. So let's start discussing this SQL Server related things, guys. SQL Server DBA. Okay. Both these softwares we'll start discussing. So SQL Server is a software I told you, right? So every software will have its own version, right? You know that. So for example, you people are using this smartphones and all. Yes, you people are using these smartphones. So in that smartphones, generally we are having an operating system, right? Operating system is nothing but what is meant by operating system. Now, when you are doing something on my screen,
Sorry, sorry.
no problem. Let me delete this one. Yeah. Okay. So SQL Server is a database software. Okay. So each software will have its own versions, guys. So generally we are using this laptops. We are using this smartphones and all. In the smartphones, generally we'll install the operating system. Okay. Generally we have different types of operating systems are there for smartphones. Android is one operating system. iOS for Apple iPhones and all, that is one operating system. So like that we have different operating systems are there in the mobile phones. So if you see this Android, you can see different versions are there. Android 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, 7.0. Currently Android 12 or 13 are using, right? So which
12.
one? Which was 12? Okay.
12.
So 12 currently, Android 12 is there. So in future 13 will come. So that refers the version of that particular software, guys. That Android 4, 5, 6, 7. In the same way, we are using the laptop, right? So in that laptop, we'll generally install the operating system. So what is this operating system, guys? It will act as an interface between the user. User means you. It will act as an interface between user and the machine. Okay, operating system will act as an interface between the user and the machine. So you want to listen the songs. Okay, so you don't know how to do that. Actually, for that there is a command. Using that command only you have to activate that particular action, but you don't know the command. Simply you are going to click the play button. Songs and all it will play. In the back end for that activity, one command will run, guys. You are telling to the machine, hey, please start the songs and all. Please play the songs and all. You are telling to the machine. How you are telling? It don't understand your language. You can't understand the machine language. So in between there is an interface called operating system. So operating system will act as an interface between you and your machine. Without operating system we cannot do anything, right? So in that operating system we have different types of operating systems, like we have Windows operating systems, we have Linux operating systems, we have okay Unix operating systems, we have iOS operating systems for MacBooks and all. So different types of operating systems are there. If you go to Windows operating systems, generally you can see Windows Vista, Windows Home Basic, Windows Premium, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10. Okay, the current one Windows 11. These are all different types of operating system versions. So that means a version is nothing but an updated software, guys. Version is nothing but an updated software. Okay, an updated software copy of a SQL Server. Generally, if you go to SQL Server versions, means it's an updated software copy of a SQL Server. So each software will have its own version. So that version will tell you in which year it was released, till which year to which year it will support. So like that, lot of things it will tell you, guys. In the same way, in the SQL Server also we are having different versions. Okay, so these are the versions of the SQL Server. These are very important, guys. Versions are very important. So these versions should be tip of your tongue. It should be on tip of your tongue, guys. Very important. Why? Because you are in a you are going to like jump into the IT as a professional, not a fresher. So if you are keeping 4 years, 5 years experience and all, if you don't know these versions, so it's very difficult. So we have to try to understand the versions, or else if you can't understand, like at least you have to. Okay, 1 minute, please don't mind. Hello. Right, okay. So we are having different versions in SQL Server, guys. You have to by heart these versions, okay? So you have to remember these versions, guys. Very important. So SQL Server started its journey, I told you, right, early 1980s, 1970s and all, but officially it just started releasing from 1997, guys. Officially it just started releasing into the market from 1997. This number you can see right at the end of that SQL Server software. This number generally in it is going to reflect the year in which year that software is released. Okay, so SQL Server 97, no need to remember this one. This was not so popular. Okay, before that there are some other versions also, 93, 94 and all, but those versions up to 97, those are not so famous versions, guys. But from SQL Server 2000 onwards, completely the database, okay, face itself is changed because of the SQL Server 2000. Until then, only command based database softwares are there in the database market. From SQL Server 2000 onwards, of course, Microsoft is famous for GUI based graphical user interface. From SQL Server 2000 onwards, it became so easy because of this GUI graphical user interface. By that time, SQL Server 2000 is so famous. Okay, why? Because of this particular graphical user interface. If it is a graphical user interface, everyone can easily learn the things. If it is a command and all, not all people can learn, only few people can learn. But if it is a graphical user interface, lot of people can easily learn and they can easily work on it, guys. So that is how the, okay, that's how the SQL Server 2000, okay, changed the face of the database software, guys. Okay, so SQL Server 2000 was released in the year of 2000, and after 5 years SQL Server 2005 came into the market. After 5 years, they don't release every year, guys. Depends upon the features, depends upon the changes and all, they will release 3 years, for 3 years, after 4 years or 5 years they are going to release, guys. After 5 years they released it 2005. 2005 is also an excellent software. Okay, from 2000 onwards, like the almost Microsoft took all the most of the share in the database market, guys, from 2000 equals to 2000 onwards. Right after that they improved in the year of 2005 and they released SQL Server 2005. So I'll tell you these values, guys. What are these values? I'll explain it later. As of now, just concentrate on it. Okay, I'll show you later. Okay, so after 3 years, 2008 came into the picture. Then in the same year again they released one more version, SQL Server 2008 R2, which is release 2. After 4 years they released 2012. Then in the year of 2014 they released 2014, then 2016, 2017, 2019, guys. Okay, these are the different versions of the SQL Server. So still people are using all the versions, guys. Okay, so there are some companies, there are some people, there are some projects, still they are using SQL Server 2000 to 2019. All the versions they are using. Some servers are there with SQL Server 2000, some servers are with SQL Server 2005, 8, 8 or to 12. So all the versions, not most of the companies, but still some companies are there, they are still using the SQL Server 2000 also, right? But guys, there is a problem here actually. Microsoft don't support that software for so many years. It's not like unlimited support. Okay, so there is a limited support from Microsoft. I'll tell you, I'll explain, guys, about the support and all, what kind of support they are going to give. Everything I'll explain. So these are the different versions of the SQL Server. You have to remember from SQL Server 2000 to SQL Server 2019, guys. These are different versions are there. So yes, some projects still they are using SQL Server 2000 to 2019. Some people are going to use. It's not mandatory that they have to use all the versions, guys. Depends upon their requirement. They can use that specific versions and all. Okay. Some people are using 16, 17, 19. Some people are using 14, 16, 17, 19. Some people are using only 17, 19. So depends upon their requirement. They are going to, okay, use the software, SQL Server software versions and all. Right. So as discussed. SQL Server is a database software, right? So as I told you, SQL Server is a database software. So which is going to use database software to store the data to process the data and to retrieve the data. So it is going to use it to store the data, to process the data, and to retrieve the data. So data. What is this data, guys? First of all, what is this data? What is meant by data? Any idea?
Information.
Collection of related information.
Very good. Information.
Collection of information regarding to the company organization.
Collection of information related to the organization.
Collection of related information.
Very good. Collection of related entries, related information. Very good, guys. Okay. So let me show you this screenshot. Okay. If you see here, you can see this is a raw data, guys. Okay, raw data. So can you understand anything only with the help of this raw data? Can you understand anything, guys?
No, sir.
No. Right? Why? Because this is just a raw data. There is no meaning to this. What is 10,000? You don't know. What is, of course, Mahesh is a name, you know. This is an IT. Okay, this is kind of an address. You can understand a little bit. So this is a raw data, guys. Generally, if you see this, this is just a raw data. Using this raw data, you cannot understand anything. Okay, using this raw data, you cannot understand anything, guys. But, okay, if you add some context to this raw data, if you add some context to this raw data, if you add some values to this particular raw data, that will be an information, guys. Okay, so a processed data, you can call it as an information. What is that, guys? A processed data, you can call it as an information. So if you see here, I just added some attributes, guys. Some values I just added. I gave one number and I just added that employee name column. I just created a department column. I just created an address column. I just created a salary column. Earlier, we just read about this Mahesh IT ABC Apartments KR from 10,000. Only this value, if you see only this value, you cannot understand anything. But if you add some context to the data, that will be an information, guys. This is called processing. What is meant by processing? Adding context to the data. You can call it as a processing, guys. Using SQL Server, you can do that. Using SQL Server, you can add the context. You can create some tables. You can insert the values in the table, guys. Okay, so data is a kind of a raw data, guys, whereas information is a processed data. Okay, information is a processed data, guys. So if you see here, let me show you. Okay, this one. So if you see here, let me skip this. Right. So what you can see on your screen, guys, what you can see? What you can see on your screen? You can see the numbers, right?
Some numbers.
Yeah, you can see some numbers. So 51, 77, 58, 82, 64, 70. You don't know what numbers, these numbers, like what numbers, what it is reflecting, you don't know. So this is a data, guys. Data, there is no meaning for this data. Okay. But if you add, come on. Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, but if you add some context to this data, if you see here, this is just a raw data. I just added some context to this particular data, guys. What is the context? These are the test scores achieved by the students. Now you have an idea. What are these values, guys? What are these values?
Marks.
These are the
Scores.
marks of the student, right? Yeah, these are the marks of the student. Means you just added one context. Earlier you don't know what it is, but I just added one context. Now these values are marks achieved by some students. Once you just got a hint like these are the marks achieved by students, definitely you will definitely are going to search who got highest marks, who got lowest marks, like that you are going to calculate, right? So that is called processing. So if you process the data, that will be converted into information, guys. Data means it's a raw thing. Information means a processed data can be an information. Processing can be anything. Processing means adding context, adding values, creating tables. Processing can be anything, guys. Okay, processing can be anything. So if you add one context here, the data is processed, and you can see here average test score is calculated as 67 percentage. So you can see this shows that the first student's mark is way below average. This is how you are going to process the data, guys. Okay, so processing means adding context to the values, you can say. So raw data can be converted into the information by just giving some context and all, by adding some values and all. This is called an information. So using SQL Server, you can give value to the data, guys. Okay, you can give value to the data, you can process the data. So using SQL Server, you can do that. Okay, right. So now if you see, just a minute. Right. So generally in the SQL Server, okay, generally in any database softwares, generally they are going to store the data in the form of tables, guys. How they are going to store? They are going to store the data in the form of tables.
Tables.
Let me show you one table here. Yes, okay. So I told you, right, SQL Server is an RDBMS software. What is that RDBMS? Relational Database Management System. Before RDBMS, there is a separate way called DBMS, Database Management System. So DBMS or RDBMS means in what format you are going to store the data. Earlier, guys, where they are going to, earlier before this before this computers and all, where we are going to store the data generally?
Notebooks.
Notebooks. Before to the notebooks, before the notebooks, where we used to
Stones.
store the stones, on stone age. In the stone age, generally we are going to save the data on the stones and all. Okay, in between we are going to store the data on what is that, leaves and all, right? Leaves and all, we use it to store the data. So in the same way, we use a lot of ways to store the data and all. Okay, earlier we used, in the stone age we used stones, then leaves, then papers, then once computer is invented and all, then spreadsheets, Excel sheets. Okay, so finally we use it to store the data in the databases, guys. We used to store the data in the databases. And Excel sheet, before all these database softwares, the first database software is Excel, guys. Microsoft Excel, that's the first database software. It's a beautiful database software. Lot of things you can do by using Excel sheet. You can store the data, you can process the data, right? You can process the data, right? You can do lot of things. You can generate reports by using the Excel sheet, guys. It's an excellent database software actually. By using Excel sheet, you can do all these things. The Excel sheet is also one kind of database software only. After that, they modified, they just refined everything, the way of processing, the way of storing, the mode of storing, everything was processed, and finally they invented the databases. So database is a place where we use it to store the data. But how we are going to store the data? Okay, how you, in what format you are going to store the data? Okay, so people are used a lot of ways, guys. They used different topologies, we can say. Okay, a bus, there are different topologies are there, but no need to discuss all those things. So they use it to store the data in the form of tree structures and all. They use it to store the data in the form of tree structures, and lot of many ways they use it. But as the data is increasing, as the data is keep on increasing, so they are unable to handle the load, guys. Okay, so they can store the data. The thing is, in the Excel sheet we can store the data, but the problem is, okay, if you are having huge data and all, while retrieving it is taking lot of time, guys. While retrieving the data, it is taking lot of time. Imagine you are searching for Samsung phone, If you click on that Samsung phone, it is taking 5 minutes to open that phone. Means to retrieve that Samsung information, Samsung related information, it is taking 5 to 10 minutes. Are you going to wait for 5 to 10 minutes? No, we don't waste that time, right? Generally we don't waste it. If you want, you can utilize it by watching the shorts, by watching the Insta videos, by watching Big Boss 6 and all. That's okay, but we don't want to wait, right? So that is called retrieving. So retrieving will become very slow in case if the data is big, guys. Those are lot of challenges are there in different models, network model, tree model. So different models they use it to store the data, but nothing is succeeded if the data is keep on increasing. Earlier we used it to use 512 MB storage phones, guys. 512 MB storage phones earlier, right? Then it was like 1 GB, then 2 GB phones, then 8 GB phones came into the market, then 16 GB, 32 GB also not sufficient. Now 64 GB common phone, general phone is 64 GB. Some people going to 128 GB, 256 GB also. Why? The data that you are producing became increasing day by day, day by day, day by day. How you are going to store it? Ourself, we are storing a lot of terabytes of data in our lifetime. So the data is keep on increasing. So that's why the model that they are using, the softwares that they used are not sufficient to handle the traffic and all. So finally databases are good to handle the traffic. And how they are going to store the data in the databases? Using tables. Okay, so they are going to store the data in the databases using the table systems, guys. Using tables format, they are storing the data in the database. So in the SQL server, not only in the SQL server, in any database softwares, the data will be stored in the form of tables, guys. The data will be stored in the form of tables. What is a table? You know that. What is a table, guys?
It contains rows and columns.
Correct.
Combination of rows and columns.
Yes. Okay. So they are going to
Combination
store
of
the
rows
data.
and columns.
Yeah. It's a combination of rows and columns. So this is this table, guys. This table. Okay. Not 2 and the 2, 2 2 2 4, 2 2 4 table. Not that table. This table. Okay. So they use it to store the data in the form of this kind of tables, guys. The format is they use it to store the data in the form of tables. So table is nothing but the data in an RDBMS is stored in database objects. What is that? Database object. So in SQL Server, everything will call it as an object, guys. Tables also objects. Database objects which are called as tables. This table is basically a collection of related data entries. What you are going to store in this table, guys? Related data entries. And it consists of numerous columns and rows. It consists of numerous columns and rows. Simply a table means it's a collection of rows and columns. It's a collection of records. A lot of definitions are there for table. Table is nothing but a collection of rows and columns, collection of records. Okay, so like this. So remember, a table is the most common and simplest form of data storage in a relational database. Whatever relational database softwares are there, the relational database and the DBMS softwares, all those softwares will store the data in the form of tables. If you see here, generally if you see here, this is an employee table, guys. This is an employee table. So you can see here there are some columns. You can see here there are some columns. This is called the vertical entity. You can call it as a column, guys. Okay, the vertical entity you can call it as a column. So this is an ID column. This is an ID column. This is a name column. Okay, this is the name column, and this is the age column. So we are having almost 5 columns in this table, guys. Okay, so in the same way, this is called a row. Okay, column means vertical entity, row means horizontal entity, guys. Column means a vertical entity, row or record means a horizontal entity. So by using this record, generally you can came to know the meaning. But just for the column, if you see the column 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, nothing you understood, right? Just it's a column. So column is incomplete information, guys, whereas row is a complete information. Row consists complete information. You can see ID, you can see Ramesh, you can see name, you can see age, you can see address, you can see the salary. So this is how. So row is having more meaning than this column, guys. Column will define only a specific column, whereas your row will define the whole particular record, guys. Okay, so a vertical entity you can call it as a column or field, guys. Column or field. A horizontal entity you can call it as a record or row. Okay, how many records are there, guys, in this table? How many records are there now?
7.
7 records are
Seven.
there. First record, second record, third record, 4, 5, 6, 7 records are there, guys. Okay, so each record is having some columns and some rows. Column is like a vertical entity, row is a horizontal entity. So table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. Collection of rows, okay, collection of rows and columns, guys. Okay, so table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. In the database software, DBMS software, database management system, before RDBMS, generally there is a DBMS. Okay, so who is the father of RDBMS, guys? Can anyone tell me? Anyone from computer background? Father of RDBMS? Father of RDBMS. Who invented RDBMS?
EF core. F.
EF Cod. Okay, he's the
God,
father
he
of.
has 14 rules also.
Yes. So EF Cod, he is the father of RDBMS, you can say. He is the father of RDBMS. Because of him only, the SQL Server database is developed, guys. Okay, the theme to store the data in the form of tables, that was designed by EF Cod only. Okay, he is the father of, generally we'll call him as a father of RDBMS software. So before RDBMS, they used to store the data in the form of tables only. Okay, but there is no relation between the tables. Generally what happened is, so before RDBMS, so we used to store the data in the form of tables only. But the challenge is, say for example, now you want to track some students information, guys. What kind of things you are going to track it? Generally student table is there. Under student table, what kind of information you will track it?
Student name.
Name,
No, okay,
roll
let me,
number,
Class name.
ID, name,
name, father's
Class.
name,
awesome.
class,
Address.
1 minute, yeah.
class,
Address, class, okay,
marks,
sorry, class,
Class.
class,
Marks.
marks, okay. Next,
person,
person, what is that? Subjects, okay, subjects. Next,
Attendance,
attendance, very good, attendance. Next,
performance,
performance,
father,
performance, okay, sorry, someone is saying something. Yes, what else? That's it.
grades,
Grade, okay, grade, very good, grade. Next,
contact number,
everyone is forgetting about an important column, guys.
contact number,
Contact number, very good. Next, still you are missing one important column.
subject,
Subject,
already,
already,
okay,
already, okay,
okay.
already.
Actually, that's very important column, guys.
Fee details.
I love this column. Next, next, next. See, after that, contact number is there, emergency contact number is there, okay, fine. What else, guys? That's it, huh? Address we have,
organization name,
organization,
name,
organization, school only, right? That's school. Okay, like here some ABC school is there, in that they are storing the data in the tables, guys.
okay,
Yeah.
father's
That's it, huh?
name,
Father's name, okay, very good. Father's name. Generally, we use in the childhood, they are used to track everything like religion and all. I'm not sure now they are tracking religion or not. Caste, they are going to track it. So, they can, if you keep on adding the columns, we can add a lot of columns, guys. So, what happened if you are adding the columns? What's happening? Your table size is increasing, guys, right? If you keep on adding the columns, your table size is going to increase. So what is the problem, guys, if the table size is increasing? What is the problem? So if the table is big, generally if the table is big and all, it will take some time to process. Okay, to load, to
Load.
retrieve the data. Yes, to retrieve the data. While loading the data into the memory, it will take some time, guys. So performance wise, you will get negative results and all if the tables are big. So Professor EF Cod, what he mentioned is whatever way you are storing the data in the form of tables, that is good. No problem. That's an excellent style of storing the data. But create small tables. Create a relationship between the tables. Okay. So what he suggested, you can store the data in the form of tables. That will be good. But create small tables and all. Okay, with 4 columns, 5 columns and all. And one more thing is security. Okay, security and all here. If there is no kind of security, no proper security, that person can see all the information, right? He can see all the information of that particular student. So if you just create these small tables and all, you can hide the information, sensitive information and all, you can hide it. So visibility will be less for the other people and all. Depends upon their duties, depends upon their responsibilities, you will give access to that particular tables only. So instead of creating a big table, create small tables and create a relationship between the table. That's why it is called relational database management system. So they are going to create a relationship, guys. So these 5 columns, okay, this is one table. This is one table. Imagine. Okay, so this is one table. Then this is another table. Okay, so what is this? This is another table. Like this. So tables, if you see here, let me cut it, Control X, let me paste it here, Control V, right. And this is another table, Control, let me add all the borders, right. And this is one more table, guys. So here, earlier it is a big table, now this becomes a small table, guys. Then how we are going to create a relationship between these tables? Using a common column. What they are going to do, guys? They are going to add one column here. Okay, what they will do? They will add one column. So let me insert. Okay, recorder, this is shift cells right down. Okay. Yes, okay. So they are going to add one column, that is ID column. Here they are going to add ID column. Let me change it to ID. Of course, grade will be there. Okay, ID column. So common column will be there. With the help of common column, they are going to create a table, guys, with the help of common column. So whenever you are trying to retrieve the data, you can use this common column, guys. By using this common column, you can create the table. Okay, it's retrieving becomes very easy and processing becomes very easy, guys, with the help of these small tables, and security also will be there. Okay, so this model suggested by the EF Cod, that's why we are going to call him as a father of RDBMS software, guys. Father of RDBMS. Okay, so in the SQL server, everything will be stored in the form of
Tables.
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 SQL servers, everything will be stored in the form of tables. Not only SQL server, all the database softwares, all the RDBMS softwares, the data will be stored in the form of tables only. Small tables which will create a relationship between those tables and all, which will maintain a relationship with other tables and all, based on the requirement, guys. Okay, so a table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. Collection of rows and columns. An horizontal entity you can call it as a row or record. A vertical entity you can call it as a column or
Field.
field. Thank you. Yes, column or field. Okay, very good, guys. Let me RDBMS. You can see here RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. RDBMS is the basis for SQL and for all modern database systems like MS SQL Server, IBM DB2, IBM DB2. Come on, Srikanth, you are doing something on my screen. Let me delete. Yes, I am not sure how come you are going to do.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
No. I'm not scolding you. I'm just wondering how you are able to do on my screen. How come it is having permissions? That's what I'm worrying. Okay, not a problem, Srikanth. So
It is a one icon is there in my phone.
okay. So using phone itself, you are disturbing my screen, huh? I thought
Yes,
you are
yes.
using laptop. Okay, fine. Right. So RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. RDBMS is the basis for SQL and for all modern database systems like MS SQL Server, IBM DB2, Oracle, MySQL, and Microsoft Access is also one database software. Relational Database Management System is a database management system that is based on the relational model, which was introduced by EF Cod. Okay, that's what we discussed. And let me, yes. Fine. So what is this SQL? SQL Server we are saying, right? What is that SQL? Generally, people will call it as an SQL. So as we have to work, we'll call it as a SQL, guys. What is this SQL and all? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. This is a language which will help you to communicate with the Microsoft database, like how we are communicating in English, in the same way. By using this SQL language, you can communicate with the database softwares. Okay, so you are going to write some queries, commands and all, right? Using this SQL language only, you can write the commands. Database can understand only SQL language, especially SQL Server can understand only SQL language. You don't know other languages and all. SQL is a language to operate databases. It includes database creation, deletion, fetching rows, modifying rows, etc. SQL is an ANSI, American National Standards Institute standard language, but there are many different versions of SQL language. Okay, so there are different versions, like how we are having multiple languages, different languages, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, okay, Kannada, okay, Marathi. So lot of languages are there, right? Lot of versions are there in the same Sanskrit. Lot of versions are there in the same way. In SQL, lot of versions are there, guys. In SQL language, there are different versions are there. Versions means flavors. I can say it's a flavor. Different flavors are there in SQL language. SQL is a structured query language which is a computer language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data stored in a relational database. Means using this SQL language, you can store the data, you can manipulate, process the data, and you can retrieve the data that is stored in a relational database. Okay, so SQL is a standard language for relational database system. All the relational database management systems like RDBMS, like MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, Sybase, Informix, Postgres, and SQL Server use SQL as their standard database language. One minute, guys, just 1 minute. right? Okay, SQL is a standard language for relational databases, relational database system, all the relational database management system MySQL. So it is saying all the relational databases like MS SQL, MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, Sybase and all, they will use SQL language in the backend, okay, to communicate with the databases. As I said, in the SQL language also we have different flavors. Okay, so the one which we are using, MS SQL, okay, the one which we are going to use, that language name is T-SQL. T means transact SQL. The same SQL language, like generally in the Hindi came from Sanskrit, right? From Hindi, lot of other Indian languages came, right? So if you observe the languages, there will be slight difference between each language and all. In the same way, SQL is a kind of Sanskrit language, not Sanskrit, but it's a kind of Sanskrit language. Based on the SQL language, all other languages are developed. So the language that we are going to use, MS SQL Server, will use T-SQL language, guys. That's why if you see any of the job description for SQL Server, they will ask you knowledge in T-SQL. Generally, as a DBA, we don't need a complete knowledge on the T-SQL. Okay, that's okay. You should be in a position to understand this is a T-SQL code and all. Okay, no need to learn these things again. In SQL Server, there are two streams. One is development. If you want to try as a developer, you have to learn T-SQL first. T-SQL is the very important for developers. They are going to write the coding, logic, everything using this T-SQL knowledge. No, I don't want to write any codings and all. I don't want to go into the coding side and all. Then you can jump into the administration side, database administrator. Okay, so there you can see all things are you can manage with the GUI. GUI means a kind of a how you are handling the laptop, like right click. You are going to do lot of things, right? Say for example, you just want to save this one. How you are going to save it? Generally, you can save using Control X and all, Control S. So how it is possible? Because of GUI. Okay, or else you can save using this home button, this one, this Windows button, and on this you are going to save it. Click on save button, and you are giving some name and you are saving. But in the back end, there is a command will run, guys. Don't think by just giving these kind of actions or giving these kind of values will save it. No, you are unknowingly creating one command. Once you click save button, that command will run in the back end and it will save that particular document, guys. See, generally Windows or Microsoft products don't know the GUI. GUI is one kind of a process that will create commands. You don't know the command to save the Excel sheet. By using GUI, you are preparing a command. That command will run in the backend to save the document, guys. Any action like this only it will work. Why? Because OS generally can understand commands, but you don't know what is the command to refresh the computer, what is the command to save the computer, to save the files, what is the command to play the audio or video. But what we are doing, you are simply doing a click. For that click, there is a meaning. For that click, there is a command which will run in the backend. Right? So this is how generally will work. So SQL is a flavor based on the SQL language. We have different languages, guys. T-SQL. So SQL server, in the SQL server generally we will use T-SQL. Okay. So if you want to try as a developer, you have to learn T-SQL. If you want to try as a DBA, having idea on T-SQL is good. It will be like added advantage, but it's not mandatory, guys. Why? Because you all came to the database as it doesn't have any commands and all. Okay, so that's why you and me also, even I also came as this is not having any commands and all. Okay, right. So if the same language, generally Oracle will use PLSQL just by modifying something to the SQL language. They just have their own flavor, that is PLSQL. Like that MS Access is having like Jet SQL. So different flavors are there. But in our SQL server, which language will use, guys? In MS SQL Server, which language will use?
TSQL transaction.
T-SQL, Transact SQL will use T-SQL language, okay, to communicate with the Microsoft SQL Server databases. Why it is empty? Yeah. Okay, so what is a field? Every table is broken up into smaller entities called fields, which is columns. These fields in the customer table consist of ID, name, age, like these are like each and every column you can see here. This is field or column. A field is a column in a table that is designed to maintain specific information about every record in the table. So column will maintain specific information. Record will maintain a complete information, guys. Right, these are the quiz questions for the students, guys. What is a record or row? A record is also called as a row of data. Is each individual entry that exists in the table. For example, there are 7 records in the customer table. Following is a single row of data. So which is this one? This one. Yeah, this one. This is called one record. An horizontal entity you can call it as a record, guys. We'll discuss all these things. Okay. This is the last class, guys. Fine. Right, column. Okay, fine. So now at this moment we don't discuss this select DDL, DM and all. We'll discuss it later. Right, fine. That's a basic information about the SQL Server. So now we'll jump into this particular topic, guys. Okay, so we just discussed about the versions, right? So version is nothing but an updated software copy of a SQL Server. So this is a software, right? SQL Server is a software, right? So where we are going to install the software, guys? Generally, where we can install the softwares?
On the top of the operating system.
Right, on top of the operating system, right? Without operating system, I cannot install any application. Of course, SQL Server is also one application, but applications I can install only on the operating systems. So if I want to install the SQL Server, I should have an operating system, guys. Okay, I should have an operating system. So what kind of operating systems I can install the SQL Server? We can install SQL servers on Windows operating systems. Okay, so we have different types of Windows operating systems, guys. We can install SQL Server on Windows operating systems as well as Linux also. Okay, but not initially. Later, Microsoft introduced SQL Server on Linux. Okay, so this is a different story. We don't discuss anything on Linux, guys. Why? Because you should know Linux first of all, and it was not famous at all. No one is using SQL Server on Linux at this moment. Might be in the future they might use it. So you can install SQL Server on Windows operating system or Linux operating system. In the we'll concentrate only on the Windows operating system. In the Windows operating system, there are 2 types of operating systems, guys. 2 types of operating systems. In the Windows operating systems, we have 2 types of operating systems. One is desktop operating systems. Second one is server operating systems. So can anyone tell me some versions in the desktop operating systems? What versions are there in the desktop operating systems?
Windows XP, Windows 2003.
Very good. Okay, Windows XP, Windows 2021, Windows 2003,
Windows NT, Windows Vista
Windows NT, Vista,
7,
Windows Home Basic, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, which was not famous. Okay, Windows 8.1, then Windows 10, finally Windows 11, right? On all these operating systems, we can install SQL Server, guys. On all these operating systems, we can install SQL Server. We can also install SQL Server on the server operating systems. Generally, we don't use desktop operating systems in the organizations. Okay, generally we don't use desktop operating systems in the organization, guys. Okay, for SQL Server we'll use server operating systems. Okay, So these are the Windows Server versions, guys. These are the SQL Server versions, right? So these are the Windows Server versions. So it's very important you should know these Windows Server versions also. Like I told you, right, you have to by heart these values in the same way you have to by heart these Windows Server versions also. Okay, you can install these SQL servers on these Windows Server operating system. So Windows Server is having its own operating system versions, guys, like Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 10, 11. In the same way, Windows Server is also having different versions. So what is the main difference between a server and a desktop operating systems? What is the main difference between server and desktop operating systems, guys? Why we don't
Server
use?
is
Mhm.
server is used to anytime connect one
Okay.
more person.
Server is used to connect one more
Connect
person.
no.
Hmm.
Number of person connected at a time.
So we
That
can
is called server.
multiple people can connect to the server at a time.
Yes.
But in the database, it is so in the desktop operating system we cannot connect.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. That's okay. Okay, thanks for the participation. Yeah, that's okay, but not a valid, not completely valid, but that's okay. Fine. Yeah, at least you tried. So the main thing between desktop and server operating systems is capability. Capability of the machines, guys. Generally in the desktop, what is the maximum RAM size, guys? Till now you saw what's the maximum RAM size? Hardly 16 GB. Hardly 16 GB, right? So any laptop is there with 32 GB, personal laptops with 32 GB? At this moment not there, not yet. Of course you can increase the RAM, that's agreed, but at this moment no one is using 32 GB RAMs. But in the organization 16 GB is nothing, guys. It's a peanut for the application. Applications will use lot of memory. Imagine that IRCTC, how many people will connect across the country. Across the country at a time 1 lakh 2 lakh people will connect. If you see earlier, nowadays I don't know, generally if you see for our 10th class results, intermediate results, they are going to release in the morning at 10 o'clock. We used to get marks at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, night 10 o'clock. That means what? Huge load on the server. If huge load is there on the server, it will take lot of time to process each request. So it needs lot of memory, lot of RAM should be there. Okay, so applications generally will use lot of RAM, guys. So this 8 GB, 16 GB are not sufficient. They are very less for the servers. So desktop you cannot extend the RAM more than 32 GB and also, but server RAMs are different. So servers will have 32 GB RAM, 64 GB RAMs, 128 GB RAMs. RAM, not storage. There is a difference between RAM and storage. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between RAM and storage?
Sir, RAM is fast, sir. Storage is little slow, sir.
Very good. RAM is fast, storage is slow. Very good. Valid point.
RAM is internal storage.
Storage is external storage, huh? Okay. That's okay. Yeah. You tried.
Sir,
Okay.
RAM
RAM
is
has less
utilized
memory.
by CPU.
RAM.
It is utilized by CPU, central
Okay.
processing.
Temporary memory storage.
Okay.
Less memory,
Very
sir. RAM
good.
has less memory.
Very good. Less memory, temporary memory. Agreed. Okay. So RAM, someone said it's a temporary storage, right? So RAM generally is a temporary storage, whereas storage is nothing but a permanent, guys. It's a permanent. RAM is temporary. Whatever things you are storing in the RAM, they are temporary, guys. Whereas storage or disk, you can say storage or disk is a permanent, guys. permanent storage area. Okay, so RAM, why we need RAM means depends upon the requests. Okay, depends upon the request. Say for example, now you want to give some activities to the computer. Okay, imagine, just for the example, very small example I'm giving, 2 into 4 you want to calculate, at the same time lot of additions, lot of multiplications you want to do, guys. Okay, imagine, just giving the example. Okay, or 8 plus 3 minus 5 into 7, imagine like this. Okay, so you want to do this value, you want to calculate this value generally. So generally, while calculating these values, I am just giving example again, guys. Don't think RAM will calculate the things. RAM will generally to store the data temporarily. For example, it don't calculate the whole value at a time, right? Right? It don't calculate the whole value at a time. So there is a rule. What is the rule, guys? In case if it is there like this, have anyone heard about this BODMAS rule? Bracket of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Right? So that means first it will go for bracket of no brackets there, right? So division, no divisions are there. First it will go for multiplication. So first it will multiply these two values. How much? 5 7 ja 35. Then it will go for addition. 8 plus 3 11. Then finally subtraction. 11 minus 35. So the value is 5 into 7 35. Where it will keep, guys? Until this is going to be completed, until the whole transaction is going to be completed, it should store the value somewhere, right? That value will be stored temporarily in the RAM. Once it just calculated all the values, then finally it will store in the disk, guys. So RAM is a temporary storage area. If you turn on or turn off your laptop, everything will be cleared in the RAM, whereas storage disk is a permanent storage area. Say for example, you are writing something. This is a notepad, right? This is a notepad. Okay, so I did not save this notepad. I just shut down my laptop. What is the difference between this notepad and this notepad, guys? This is a permanent document. I just saved it, which will stored in the disk. Okay, but this is a temporary document. I haven't saved it. So when I shut down the laptop, everything will be deleted, right? If I don't save it, what will happen? The document, you cannot see this document. You cannot see this data. So RAM is very important, and storage is also very important, and CPU is also very important. So who is doing this 5 into 7? Who is doing this calculation? Who will do, guys?
RAM.
No. RAM won't do that.
CPU.
CPU will do that. CPU will do that. But RAM will help you to store the values temporarily. RAM won't involve in this kind of things, guys. Anything can be done by CPU only. But CPU cannot do the whole value at a time. It cannot calculate, right, as per the formula. So it will calculate first these two values and it will keep it in the RAM. And then it will calculate these two values and it will keep it in the RAM. And finally it will calculate those values, and finally it will, whatever value is there, it is going to display. So RAM is only temporary storage area. Your CPU will do the processing and all. Fine. So that's why RAM will be like less storage, less value, like 6 GB, 8 GB, 12 GB, 16 GB, 32 GB, 120. But when compared to storage is going to store the things permanently, right? So that's why you can see storage 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabytes of storage will be there in the organization for each server. Okay, so RAM is different, storage is different, guys. Right? So when compared to desktop operating systems, servers will have more capabilities. So server RAMs are big. Servers will support big RAMs, 64 GB RAMs, 128 GB RAMs, 256 GB RAMs, 512 GB RAMs, 1024, which is 1 terabyte of RAM it is going to support. Okay, so whereas your desktop hardly 16 GB or 32 GB hardly. Your server can be available 24/7, guys. Your desktop, usually, of course, it will be available, but when compared to the server, your desktop is mainly used for personal purpose. Your laptops and all mainly used for personal purpose, so that you don't need much RAM and all. The things that you are doing regularly, they don't need it much RAM. But the application, Amazon should run on a big RAM machines. Why? Because lot of traffic will be there, lot of people are going to access the application. Okay, so for that they need lot of RAM. But such kind of applications are not running in your laptop, right? So that's why generally laptops are only for personal use, so you can say less RAMs. So but less RAMs are not sufficient in the organization, we need more RAMs. Servers will support more RAMs, that's why we'll use servers to install the SQL servers, guys. Is it clear, everyone? Guys, any questions till now, please? Any questions? No
Hello,
questions?
sir.
Boring?
Sir,
Yes, please.
what is the numbers that you have written in that versions? You have written some numbers here, means DAT. What is that?
Yes, I'll explain. These are the bill
Okay.
numbers, okay? These are the bill numbers.
Okay.
I'll explain.
Mm,
Okay, so what is this
okay.
bill number and all? By using this number, you can identify which version the SQL Server belongs to.
Okay.
Generally, in the SQL
And
Server,
that another numbers?
I'll tell you, that is folder numbers and all. It will create folders. Once you install the software, it will create
Okay.
folders with these numbers. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll tell you,
Mm,
those are called binaries. I'll explain about these numbers also. Nothing to worry
okay.
about these two. I'll show you, I'll explain. So is it clear
Okay.
till now? Is it clear? Any issues, any doubts? Guys, let me know your opinion, your suggestions and all. Is the sessions are boring or that's okay, fine.
So what is the field?
Field,
Yeah.
field is nothing but column.
Yeah.
Just call in the table we are having like where is that? This one, yes. Yeah, this is one field. This is one
Okay.
column, okay? Column or field, both are same. This is one field. This is one field. This is one field. Like this, 6 fields are there or 6 columns are there. Field is nothing but one column.
Okay.
What is column?
Mm,
What is column?
Nothing but a field.
It's a field. Column is
No,
nothing
no.
but a vertical entity. Okay, a
vertical
vertical
What?
entity you can call it as a column. Okay, right. Any other questions, guys? No questions? Okay, then take the break. Okay, come back at 8:35, giving 13 minutes break. Come back at 8:35 and we'll discuss about the other things like Windows Server versions, build numbers, how to identify SQL Server versions. Everything we'll discuss, guys. Okay, come back at 8:35. Okay, yeah. I'll be back at 8:35, guys.
స్టేజ్ మీద పర్ఫామ్ చేయాలని కేవలం తన ఆనందం కోసమే ఈరోజు కాళ్ళకి గజలు
Right. Back, guys. I'm back. Kachani, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, sir. You took the break. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Fine. Right. Okay. Let's discuss. So as discussed, okay, so these are the SQL Server softwares. These are the SQL Server versions. These softwares we can install on the Windows servers, guys. Okay, these softwares we can install on the Windows Server operating systems and all. You can install the softwares on SQL Server desktop operating systems also.
Sir?
You can. Yes, yes.
స్క్రీన్ కనిపించట్లేదు సార్ మీది
Is it, guys? Can you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Just check it.
Yes.
Yeah, might be minimized and all. Just check it once. Can you see now? Use Alt tab button. Okay, use Alt plus tab. You can see all the windows. You can select that zoom window. Alt plus tab. Can you see now?
నో సార్
No. Okay.
ఐఎమ్ యూజింగ్ మొబైల్ ఫోన్ సార్
Oh, okay. You are using mobile phone. Do one thing. Just close it and reopen it again. Rejoin it again. Okay. Rejoin your
Okay, sir.
screen. Yeah. You can rejoin. Right. Fine. So we can install these SQL servers either on desktop operating systems like in our Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1, 10, 11 and all. We can also install on the server operating systems. So generally we'll install SQL servers in the organization. We'll install SQL servers only on the Windows servers, guys. Okay. We don't install in the desktop operating systems. We'll install on the Windows server operating systems. I told you, right, why we will prefer Windows servers, because capability, it can be available 24/7. Servers should be always available, right? Servers should be always available. Okay, so servers can be available for 24/7 by 365 days. And you can give more RAM, you can extend the RAMs, you can extend the storage and all. Wherein the desktop operating systems, there are a lot of limitations in terms of RAM, in terms of storage, in terms of CPU. So that's why we generally don't prefer to install SQL servers in the desktop. We'll use only Windows Server operating systems. Interface and all same, like how Windows desktop operating system is there, Windows Server operating systems also will be like that only. But capability, capacity, compatibility and all, okay, different when compared to the desktop operating systems, guys. So you can install SQL servers on any of these Windows Server operating systems, guys. You can install it on Windows Server 2000, like we are having different Windows Server versions, like how we are having SQL versions. In the same way, we are having Windows Server versions. So we are having Windows Server 2000, which was released in the year of 2000, and then Windows Server 2003, and then Windows Server 2008, and then Windows Server 2008 R2, and Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2012 R2, Windows Server 2016, Windows Server 2019. So let me know the latest Windows Server version. What is the latest Windows Server versions, guys? You have to check and let me know. And latest
2019.
2019 is there already. After 2019, any other
21.
Windows?
22.
Check it, guys. Google it and let me know. Okay. Latest SQL Server version means upcoming SQL Server version and upcoming Windows Server version. These are the two assignment questions. What is the upcoming SQL Server version?
is 2022.
And what is the upcoming Windows Server version?
I don't know.
Yeah, just check it, Google it and let me know the answers by tomorrow. Okay. Google it, guys. It's very easy. You can find out. Right, so you can install SQL servers on either of these operating systems, guys. Okay, so 2000, 2003, 88 R2, 12, 12 R2, Windows 2016, Windows 2019. Now the question is, can I install all the SQL servers on all the Windows servers, guys? Can I install on Can I install all these SQL servers on all the Windows servers? Is it possible? Guess it, guys. No problem. Yes or no? Just guess it. I
No.
need
No.
response from everyone.
No. Yes, sir.
No, no.
Why we cannot install?
By each of the time the server
Compatibility issues.
updated, so
Okay,
Compatibility issues.
fine. Right, so the answer is no. Okay, so we cannot install all the SQL servers on all the Windows servers, guys. Why I'll tell you. Okay, just listen carefully. So this SQL Server 2000 was introduced in the year of 2000, right? Generally, any software will support 10 to 15 years, guys. Hardly 10 to 15 years any software will support. After that, you have to keep updating the software generally. So SQL Server 2000 means while inventing this SQL Server 2000, at that time, whoever scientists are there or the programmers are there, they don't know, right? They cannot expect that in the year of 2019 Windows Server 2019 will release. They cannot expect, right? Even Microsoft itself cannot say what are the future upcoming versions for the Windows servers. Don't know. After 2022, might be 2023, 2024, they might release. Even Windows people also cannot guess it what will be the next operating system and all. So during this, in the year of 2000, how come they can guess Windows Server 2019 will come, so that this should be compatible with the Windows Server 2019, Windows Server 2016 and all, right? So that is called compatibility. For every software, compatibility will be there, guys. So what is this compatibility? Very simple example I'll try to give, guys. Very simple example. What is this compatibility issues means? Generally in our childhood days, we are going to wear the clothes, right? We'll wear the clothes, t-shirts, shirts, pants and all, will wear it. So at that time, in the year of like at the age of 5 years, 6 years and all, whatever clothes we used, can we use the same kind of clothes now? Is it possible?
No.
Not possible, right? Not at all possible, right? Why? Because at the age of 5 years, our measurements are different, our height is different. You cannot guess it, okay, after 15 years or after 20 years my height will be 6 feet, my height will be 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", or else my what we can say, my measurements will be different. You cannot guess it, right? So in the same way, while designing this SQL server, they cannot guess in the future what kind of Windows Server operating systems will come. So each and every software, hardly it will support, okay, hardly it will support, where is the document? Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so hardly it will support 15 years, guys, up to 15 years. It will support more than that also. Okay, I'll explain. So any software, then you should be in a position on what kind of Windows Server operating systems I can install this SQL server. You should be in a position to tell the answer, at least to calculate, at least confidently say that yes, on this Windows Server we can install this SQL server. Okay, so how to get that knowledge, guys? So generally I told you, right, any software will give you support for 15 years and all. So always there is a formula, guys, -7 to +7 years. Okay, so each and every SQL server software supports -7 years to +7 years. Means what? For example, 2016 is there, imagine. So now one customer came to you, hey, can you please install SQL Server 2016 in my Windows Server 2003? He asked like this, can you install SQL Server 2016 on Windows Server 2003? So let's see whether we can install or not. I told you, right, every software will support -7 years to +7 years. So apply that rule on this SQL Server 2016. So what is the -7 of 2016? What is the -7 of 2016, guys? If you subtract -7 in the 2016, what is the value? 2009, right?
2009.
Right, very good. 2 What is the +7 value for 2016?
23.
2023, right?
2023.
Right.
2020.
In this range, what and all Windows Server operating systems are there, guys? In this range, 2009 to 2023, what Windows Server operating systems are there? In this range, what Windows Server operating systems are there? Just check it.
2012.
Ah,
2012.
2008,
and
2008
after
or
2015.
2008.
2019.
Who said
12,
2008?
2012, 12 or
2016,
16, 19.
2019, right? So in all these Windows servers, you can install this SQL Server, guys. That's it. This is how you have to. This is for sure you can do that. Later plus or minus 1-2 versions, that's okay. Now you can say that now is this possible, guys? Can I install SQL Server 2016 on Windows Server 2003? Is it possible?
no.
Not possible. Not at all possible.
No.
See, at least it is not near to 2012 also. If it is at least if it is near to 2012, that then might be a chance. Okay, so it's in the range like 2003 to 2012 means almost 8 plus 2, 10 years gap is there, right? 7 plus 2, 9 years gap is there. So you cannot install SQL Server 2016 on Windows Server 2003. You can strongly say that is not possible. It is not at all possible to install. You cannot say, okay, I'll check and update you after 2 days. You just googled it, or you tried to install and it is failing. Then you came to know that is not possible. After 2 days, sir, sorry, sir, you cannot install to 2016 on Windows Server 23. By mistake, I said it is possible. It's not possible like that. If you cannot say like that. Okay, so you should be in a position on what kind of Windows servers I can install SQL servers. Just one basic thing, guys. You cannot install very lower version SQL servers on very higher versions of Windows servers. You cannot install very higher versions of SQL servers on very lower versions of Windows servers. Any software will follow, any SQL Server software generally will follow -7 to +7 years. Means total how many years, guys? -7 to +7 years means total how many years? -7 to +7 means -7, 0 to +7
15, sir.
15 years it will support. That's why it will support for 15 years. Sir, after 15 years, can I use it? Is it possible, guys? After 15 years, can I use the software? Or I cannot use
Yes,
it?
we can. We can use it.
Yeah, the answer is yes, we can use it. Okay, but Microsoft won't give any support. So
No support.
support.
Disabled.
What is this support? Microsoft support. What is meant by Microsoft support, guys? So Microsoft is the vendor for SQL Server, right? So Microsoft generally it will release some updates regularly. It will release some updates, guys, for its softwares. Okay, so support, if the software is in the support period, if the software is in the support period, please be muted. If the software is if the software is in support period, Microsoft will give you support, guys. In case if you are having any issues with the SQL Server, you can directly call to Microsoft. Why? Because imagine you are buying one product, you bought one product. If there is any issue with the product and that is in warranty, definitely you will call to that customer care, right? This is not working, that is not working. You will call and you will complain, right? So as we are buying SQL Server from Microsoft, Microsoft will provide some support. In case if you are facing any issues, you can directly contact Microsoft. So when it will provide support, if the software is there in the support period. Sir, where I can see that list? Yes, there is this portal. In that website you can see, okay, that list and all. Let me show you that portal, you will get an idea. So SQL Server builds.blogspot.com, SQL Server builds.blogspot.com. So if you go and check here, guys, see the upcoming SQL Server version is SQL Server 2022. Okay, so which was announced yet. Till now it was just announced. Okay, so after that 2019, 2017, and if you see here, each software, each version is having support end date, extended support end date. Okay, that means the support will end for SQL Server 2019, support will end by 2025. But you can pay extra amount and you can take extended support that will end by 2030. 5 years they will give extended support. If you see here 2016, if you see in the red mark, it was expired. It was, the support is ended last year. By July it was ended, but still extended support is there till 2026. And for 2014, it was ended in 2019, and 2024 up to 2024 extended support is. See here 2012 support is ended, extended support is also ended, guys. By the last July, extended support is also ended. Sir, if it is ended, that extended support also is ended, can I use this software? Yes, you can use it. No need to pay any money, you can still use it. But the challenge is Microsoft, in case if you are having any issues with the SQL Server, Microsoft won't support. First thing. Second thing, Microsoft won't release any kind of updates like service packs, cumulative updates. These are very important, guys. Cumulative updates. This will help you to secure your SQL Server. So if the support is ended, Microsoft won't release any updates for that particular software. It's like a kind of iPhone, guys. iPhone 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like lot of iPhones are there. But once Microsoft introduces any new version, it will stop supporting old versions. Why? Because if it is still supporting, who will buy the new phones? Agreed? So that's why every year it will stop supporting some versions. If you are having any issues, iPhone won't support. You have to go offline, you have to check with some other engineers and all. But iPhone won't give you any support. iPhone won't release any kind of security packs and all. So if something goes wrong, if someone hacked the software, then Microsoft can't help you, guys. Is it clear? That is called support and extended support. Right? Still you can use it, but the challenge is you cannot expect any support from the Microsoft, and Microsoft also won't release any kind of security patches and all. So your server will be at risk. Your server will be at risk means your database will be at risk. Your database will be at risk means your data is at risk. Your data is at risk means your company is at risk. Right? Clear? That is called support. So you can still use it. Still my company is using SQL Server 2000, but the challenge is, in case if something goes wrong, as a DBS we have to struggle, we have to fix it. But Microsoft and all, it won't help us to fix the issues, guys. Even though you're, say, Microsoft support is not free. Actually, you have to pay $300 per hour. $300 means how much? Almost 24,000 you have to pay per hour. Microsoft support, for Microsoft support, even though you are paying licensing fee to the Microsoft, still you have to pay $300 per hour in case if you are taking any support and all. So generally people don't show any interest. People generally, companies or leaders, people leaders or managers, leads and all, generally they don't prefer supporting, take the support from Microsoft. In case if it is very big issue, very urgent issue, there is no other way, only Microsoft can fix this, then in that case only they will ask us to contact the Microsoft support. Until then, they don't encourage generally to support, to get the support from Microsoft, as it is costly. Right? So now tell me, on which Windows servers I can install SQL Server 2012, guys. Just calculate with the same formula. SQL Server 2012 can be installed on what Windows Server operating systems. Now calculate it, guys. -7 to +7 and let me know the answer. Just guys, whenever I ask the questions, you have to use the chart option. Chart option you can use. Go to the chart. There you can see to everyone. Click on that everyone. Select to me. Just you have to select my name, so that I'll get all the answers directly to my chart. So type the answers, guys. Type the answers, send it to me, direct to me only. Not in the public, so that everyone can see. You have to send answers directly to me only. Now tell me what and all Windows Server operating systems I can install this SQL Server 2012. I just opened the Windows Server versions also. You can check it. You can compare and you can check it. Yes, I got only 2 answers. Try it, man. No problem. Try it. Try it. Not at all an issue. Right or wrong, that's a different thing. At least try it. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. Let me check the answers. I got 14 answers. That's fine. 20. Oh, okay. 2005 to 2019. Let's check. I said I'm not getting audio. Okay. Fine. Manohar 2005 to 1908 to 2019, 2008 to 2018. Sri Lanka. Do we have SQL Windows Server 2018 Sri Lanka? Sneha, actually that's fine. Okay, so you give at least some versions 2008 8R2 12. Sanjay 8 8R2. Where is 12? Okay, 12 you just mentioned that. Then the 2016 2019 2012 R2. Okay, fine. Venkatesh 8 8R2 to 2019. Madhavi 8R2. Only 8R2 na Madhavi. Kachayani 2008 12 12R2 2016 2019. Very good Kachayani. So Madhavi 1619. What is that Madhavi 1619?
సార్ ఆయన సెండింగ్ నేను సెండ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇండివిజువల్ గా వచ్చింది, నేను చూసుకోలేదు అది.
Okay.
8 12 12 16 19 టైప్ చేశాను.
Okay. Okay, fine, fine. So Isha 8 8R2 12 12R2 16 19. Very good. Sneha 12 12R2 16 19. Sanja. Okay. Sri Lakshmi 2005 to 2019. You cannot say like that. Sri Lakshmi. Sri Lanka 8 8R2 12 12R2 16 19. Fine. Sri Lanka. Okay. Windows Nizamuddin. Windows 2012. Windows 2010 is there. Nizamuddin. Windows 2010 is there. 2012 R2, 2016 2019 8 8R2. Okay. Durga 8 8R2 12 12R2. Sorry, Nizamuddin. 2010. Do we have Windows 2010?
I mistakenly written that. I wrote 2012.
Okay, okay, okay. By mistake, I guess. Okay, not an issue. Guys, good guys, good, good. Okay, so let me tell you the answer. So the answer is, this is the answer, right? SQL Server 2012 minus 7. 2012 minus 7 means 2005. 2 plus 7 means 2019. So in this range, what and all Windows operating systems are there? 2008, 2008 R2, 2012, 12 R2, Windows 2019. On all these Windows Server operating systems, you can install SQL Server 2012, guys. and all these Windows Server operating systems, you can install your SQL. No one will ask in the interview, but sometimes while raising the request, people will generally raise a request and all. They will suddenly raise a request, please install SQL Server 2012 on Windows Server 2008 or 2005, 2003, sorry. So now you should be in a position, okay, Windows 2003 we cannot install, right? SQL Server 2012 on Windows Server 2003, it's not possible, right? You should be in a position to reply immediately that that is not possible. We can change the operating system. Generally, they don't give you the older versions, but sometimes there are some requirements. You have to install SQL servers in the old machines and all. By that time, you should be aware of this concept, guys. Okay, by that time you should be aware of these numbers compatibility issues and all. Okay, fine. So that is about your particular Windows Server versions. So we have SQL Server versions, right, up to SQL Server 2019. Okay, SQL Server to 2005 8R to 8 8R to 12 14 16 17 and 19. So in these versions up to 2016, up to SQL Server 2016, these versions like SQL Server 2002, SQL Server 2016, these versions are platform dependent. What is that word called? Platform dependent. Platform dependent. What is meant by platform, guys? What is meant by platform?
It is an environment to run the operating system.
Very good. Okay, OS dependent means up to SQL Server 2016 you can install SQL servers only on Windows operating systems. Up to SQL Server 2016 you can install SQL servers only on Windows Server operating systems. From SQL Server 2017 onwards, like 2017 and 2019, from SQL Server 2017 onwards, you can install SQL Server on Windows operating systems. Okay, you can also install SQL servers on Linux operating systems. Okay, you can install SQL Server 2017 and 2019. You can install on Windows operating system. You can install it on Linux operating system also. That's why from 2017 onwards we'll call it as a platform independent. Means on any platform you can install the SQL server. Earlier up to 2017, up to 2016, you can only install SQL server on Windows machines. If something goes wrong with Windows machine, you cannot install it on the Linux machine up to 2016, but from 2017 onwards, okay, 2017 and 2019, these versions you can install either on Windows operating systems or in the Linux operating systems also. Okay, so that's why 2017 2019 generally platform independent software. Okay guys, clear? Platform independent means platform independent and dependent means what? You can install SQL server only on the Windows operating systems up to 2017, but from 2019 onwards, okay, up to 2016, but from 2017 onwards you can install either on Windows operating system or on the Linux operating systems, guys. Right? Fine. Okay, fine.
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes.
No, so we can't install other systems in the Linux OS, right?
Sorry, sir. Your voice is not clear actually.
One second.
Yes,
Is it
yes.
okay now?
Now I can hear you.
So we can't install below 2016 servers into Linux operating
No,
system?
not possible. Only
Not possible.
2017. Yeah, only 2017, 2019 you can install on Windows and Linux.
So Windex, I mean, in Windows, we can install any server, right?
No.
I mean, I'm unable to understand that. What is that point?
See,
Can you explain, please?
platform dependent means
Yeah.
only on a specific platforms you can install the SQL Server. What is that specific platform? Only Windows operating systems you can install the SQL Server. Up to 2016, you can, if you want to install SQL Server, you can install it only on the Windows operating systems. Is it clear? Is this point clear?
Yeah, that's okay. But we can install 2017 and 2019 also in Windows operating system, right?
Yes, that is there. See, Windows 20 SQL 2017, SQL 2019, you can install on both operating systems. Up to 2016, it was dependent on Windows operating system. From 2017 onwards,
Yeah,
independent.
that is the only difference is Linux operating system, right?
Yes,
I
up
mean,
to 2016
only
you
two
cannot.
servers.
Correct. Up to
Yeah,
2016, you cannot install on Linux.
yeah.
From
That is the only difference, right?
2017 onwards, you can install on Windows, either on Windows
Okay.
or on
Either
Linux.
on Linux. Okay.
That's why it is platform 2017, 2019 are platform independent. On any platform you can install. But up to
Okay, fine. I understand.
2016, you can install only on the Windows operating system. That's why it was platform dependent.
Yes. I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, guys? No questions? Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Build numbers. What about build?
I'll tell you, sir. Of course, that's very important. How can I skip it? I'll tell you about the build numbers. If there are no
What
questions.
is Windows NT 3.0?
That is one kind of operating system. It is very old operating system, like in the year of 1993, 1994. It was
Okay.
Windows NT versions. Now,
Okay.
no one is using. You can delete this one, not an issue. Okay, fine. Right. So, what is the assignment for tomorrow?
Extended.
Sorry. What is
Latest versions
The
of
latest
server.
version of Windows Server and SQL Server.
Yes, latest versions of SQL and Windows operating systems. Okay, 1 minute. People are dropping, not sure whether they are not interested or they don't like my classes. It's okay. Fine. Right, so we'll discuss about the bill number, guys. Yes, please.
Sometimes disturbance are coming from your side.
My side, huh? Okay. What kind of disturbance? What kind of disturbance you are getting? Are you getting
Background.
songs?
Background.
Children's.
Yeah.
Children, huh? Just a minute, huh? 1 minute. Just a minute. Let me close the door. Yeah. So, are you still getting, guys, any audio from my side? Actually, there are like here some Dasara Navratri. Okay, this pujas and all going on. So people are celebrating with these songs and all. Okay, are you able to hear those songs, guys, or it's not? You are not able to hear those songs and all. Do we have background noise again?
No, it's
fine.
No.
Okay, fine. Right. So let's discuss about the SQL Server build numbers. What is this build number and all? First of all, let me show you the SQL Server, guys. Okay. Let me show you the SQL Server, how it will be. Forget about this tool. There is a tool. We'll use one tool called Management Studio. So using this tool, we can connect to the SQL servers, guys. So we'll discuss about this tool later. There is a separate session on this Management Studio. We'll discuss about this Management Studio later. So I'll show you that the SQL server, how it will be. Okay. So in the meantime, what I can do, I have to start the SQL server.
హోంవర్క్ తెచ్చుకుందా రాసుకోవచ్చు కదా నా ముందు హోంవర్క్ కంప్లీట్ చేయొచ్చు కదా షీట్
So this is called management studio, guys. Okay, so using this management studio, generally we can connect to the SQL server. Management studio is one tool. Using this tool we can connect to the SQL servers, guys. Okay, using this tool we can connect to the SQL servers. So let me while connecting I have to give the server name, right? This is my server name and this is the connect button. So using this I can connect to the SQL server. This is how it look like, guys. Okay, once you connected to the SQL server, this is how you can see the SQL server. So you can see all the objects, databases, security, server objects, replication, polybase feature, always on availability, management, integration services, SQL server agent. You can see all these are all objects only. We can call these things are objects. This is my server name. So by using this server name, can you identify which version it is, whether it is a 2017 or 19, which version it is? Can you identify, guys, by just looking the server name and all?
2000.
Sir, is it 15?
2019
2019. Okay, fine. Okay, right. Let me migration demo. Okay, this is also, I guess, 19 only. Okay, fine. Okay, so generally you cannot see the version, guys. Okay, generally you cannot see the version. If you open the properties of this SQL server, okay, so here also you cannot see any version. You can only see the server name. Okay, Microsoft SQL Server, which edition it is, developer edition and all. And you can see here also you can see a build number. You cannot see any other version and all. So you cannot see which version it is. But you should be in a position to identify the version of the SQL server immediately by just looking this number. Generally you cannot say which version it belongs to by just looking the server name, and you cannot see the version also in the properties and all. But one number will help you. Okay, one number will help you to identify the version of the SQL server. That number is called build number. What is that, guys? That is called build number. That is called build number, guys. So using this build number, generally you can identify the version of the SQL server. So this build number generally contains 4 parts. Okay, it will contain 4 parts, guys. First part is major version, second part is minor version, third part is actual build number, fourth part is revision history. Okay, so major version dot, minor version dot, actual build number dot, revision history. If you see here 15.0.2000.5, this number, okay, 15.0.2005.5, sorry, 2000.5. okay, so the first part is major version, guys, the second part is minor version, the third part is actual build number, and the fourth part is revision history. So we have to mainly concentrate on this first part and second part, guys, and especially on the first part. Second part, generally you don't see anything. Mostly you can see zeros only. Only for Windows Server 2008, sorry, SQL Server 2008 R2, you can see 50. Okay, so mostly by just looking the first number itself, you should be in a position to identify the version of the SQL Server. So these are all called build numbers. If you see here in this document, okay, so if you install SQL Server 2000, the build number will starts with 8.0. Means if you see here, if this build number starts with 8.0, that belongs to SQL Server 2000. If this belongs to 9.0, 2005, 10.0, 2008, 10.50, 2008 R2, 11.0, 2012, 12.0, 2014, 13.0, 2016, 14.0, 2017, and finally 15.0, which is SQL Server 2019, guys. What is the proof whether it belongs to 2019 or not? Open one query. This is how we have to open the query. Right click, you can right click and you can choose a new query. So there is a command to find the version of the SQL Server. The command is select @version. So you can execute this command. This is the execute button. You can execute this command. Okay, if you see here, Microsoft SQL Server 2019 RTM edition. So without running these commands and all, you should be in a position to tell the version of the SQL Server using this first number. Okay, so if the SQL Server build number starts with a 9.0, so which is, it belongs to SQL Server 2005, 10.0 2008, 10.50 belongs to 2008 R2, 11.0 2012, 12.0 2014, 13.0 2016, 17.0, sorry, 14.0 2017, and 15.0 which is 2019. So only for 2008 R2 you can see 10.50. Remaining all versions build numbers you can see on the first part itself, you can easily identify. Okay, only for 2008 R2 we are having 10.50, but remaining all other versions are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, guys. Okay, so using these build numbers you can easily identify. So you should have knowledge on three main things, guys. One is SQL Server versions, second one is build numbers, third one is Windows Server versions. These three things are very important, guys, very, very important. No one will ask you any questions from this. These are very basic things and all. Okay, no one will ask you any interview questions and all, but you should have some clarity while installing the SQL servers. Okay, so you might confuse, right? So that's why, to avoid these kind of things and all, generally we have build numbers. Using build numbers you can identify the version of the SQL server. So some features will work in some versions of the SQL server, some features may not work in some versions of the SQL server. Okay, so generally you should be in a position to tell which version it belongs to by using these numbers, guys. Very simple. It will start with 8.0, then 111 number you have to give. Only 8 R2 which is 10.50, remaining all are 1111 number you have to give. Okay, so build number is a number which will help you to identify the version of the SQL server, guys. Right? 15.0 means SQL Server 2019. Which version I am using? I am using the latest version. Clear, guys? What is the build number and all? Is it clear?
Yes.
Build number will help you to identify the version of the SQL Server. So you should know these build numbers. Then you can easily identify the versions of each SQL Server. That's it, guys. Okay. So that's it for now. Tomorrow we'll discuss about this CTP, RC, RTM and all. Okay. And then tomorrow evening onwards we'll jump into the demos, guys. Okay. We'll create the Oracle VirtualBox. Someone asked, sir, is laptop mandatory from tomorrow? Yes, it is. If you are practicing with me, the laptop is mandatory. But again, in case if you are having any challenges, take some time, like within 1 week. Okay, so that you can start practicing. If you are taking more time, more break, means you'll forget the concepts and also that's why it's again difficult. So it's good that if you are having laptop by tomorrow, okay, we can start practicing. If it is going to take some time, just concentrate on the notes. Then once you got the laptop, you can work with that particular laptop and all. We'll start the demo, sir. Okay. So any questions, guys? Any questions? Any doubts till now? Any questions? No questions? Any
So
suggestions?
what's the other numbers in that slide? That
These are the
right
numbers.
to the no
I'll tell you.
that 70, 80.
While installation, I'll show you. Okay, nothing. When you install SQL Server 2005, 90 folder will be created. Okay, let me show you that as well. Here, the C drive. Okay, the C drive, program files, Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, if you see here, these numbering folders will be created. That's it. This, if you see, if you remove dot 8.0 80, 9.0 90, 10.0 100. Okay, this number will help you to identify the version of the SQL Server. These numbers will create some folders in the C drive. When you install SQL Server 2019, so it will create some folders. Okay, so those folders generally it will be 150 folder, and if you see here 150, you can see that means I installed SQL Server 2019 in my machine. Okay, so like this, like by using these numbers you can identify which version is installed in your machines. Okay, clear now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, hi sir.
Yes, please.
What is the actual build number and revision history?
The third part and fourth part, very good. Okay, third and fourth part will help you to patch the SQL servers. So whenever there is a patch update, whenever there is an update, as of now it's an update. I don't know how many of you are observing the things. Okay, when you are updating your phone, so it will be updated to the new version, guys. The numbers will be changed. Earlier it might show 12.0 something like that. After updating it might show 11.0 something like that. So these two numbers will tell you whether your SQL server is patched or not. Whether any updates are applied on the SQL server or not, you can identify using this third number and fourth number. Okay, so if you see here in the builds block spot, okay, if you see here, every software will have a base pack. What is that? A base pack. Every software will have, every version will have a base pack. That base pack is called RTM. On top of RTM, see, this is an RTM. This is the base pack for SQL Server 2016. So very common, right? Lot of virus attacks will come. Lot of hackers are going to attack the SQL servers and all. They are going to steal the information. Okay, they are going to like pull the information and all in a different ways and all. They will hack it. Simply they are going to hack it. So security is very important. So regularly Microsoft will release security patches. You have to patch your SQL server with that security updates. Once you patch it, then it will be secured, guys. So if you see here, this is a RTM build number. If you apply the service pack 1 on this RTM, the first number, second number won't be changed, but the third number, fourth number are going to change, actual build number and revision history. And if you apply SP2, again the third number, fourth numbers are changing. And if you apply SP3, again third, fourth numbers are changing. Means that is the version that is currently running the SQL server on this particular build. Currently the SQL server is running. Got the point? So third number and fourth number will help you to identify whether the SQL server is patched or not. That's it.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
Sir,
Yes, please.
మీ సిస్టమ్ లో ఇప్పుడు ఫోల్డర్ 890 కూడా కనిపిస్తున్నాయి కదా,
Yes,
అంటే
yes.
మీరు SQL సర్వర్ 2000 2005 అవి కూడా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారా?
Very good question. Okay, so actually when you install the higher versions, some lower versions features also will come. Those features will be there in the lower version folders. If you see 8090 means, that doesn't mean I installed 2005 or 2000. Okay, so sometimes if you install the higher version SQL servers, the features of lower versions also will be created in the form of 8090 100 folders and all. So don't think if you see 80 here means I installed SQL Server 2000 in my machine. No, actually I just installed SQL Server 2019, but while installing I got some previous versions folders also. Just a minute. Any questions, guys?
In that folder, so 120 folders are not shown.
See, that's what I'm saying. Not every folder will come. Okay, based on the versions, the folders and all will come.
Okay.
Right? Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? No questions?
No.
Any suggestions, guys? Any suggestions? Any suggestions? Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, so guys, that's it. If you have any questions or any suggestions, let me know. Just let me know in case if the classes are going too fast, too slow and all. Just let me know. If there are any suggestions, you can ping me in the WhatsApp also, no issues. Okay. So that's it for now, guys. Tomorrow morning we'll connect at 7 a.m. and we'll discuss other things as well. Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Good
Bye.
night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Yeah.